nation, and now we have visuals coming in of China's President Xi Jinping leaving the hotel where he's been put up, and he is leaving for the engagement with India's Prime Minister Narendra Modi. These are the latest visuals. We're bringing you non-stop coverage of all the action that's taking place after a rousing reception on the tarmac at the Chennai International Airport, where there were cultural performances, typical Tamil cultural performances, folk music and classical dance on display. Xi Jinping taking time out to enjoy it, in fact, as he landed in Chennai, and from there he took his convoy straight to this hotel where he has been put up, and now his convoy is again leaving to go for its first engagement of this informal summit with India's Prime Minister Narendra Modi. Bear in mind, PM Modi will be hosting Xi Jinping for a dinner after this engagement, and there will be another engagement tomorrow morning as well, before Xi Jinping flies out back home to China by afternoon. So Xi Jinping is not the first Chinese leader to visit Mamallapuram. There has been another instance in history as well. Yuan was the Chinese president who first visited India and Mamallapuram, and this is a case of history repeating itself. And things have changed, Mr. Vishnu Prakash, haven't they, since then, from 1957 to now, in terms of both China and India. And in this particular meeting, there is so much context to it, because there was the Kashmir issue that's been overpowering as well. But there have been other issues that have been on the table ever since Wuhan ended, as you've been telling us. Do you think that then there's a chance here for a pause and reflect moment to put the India-China ties on a more sure footing after Wuhan?
One would hope so, and for the simple reason that effectively India and China are two engines of growth in this region and beyond. It's also a fact that there is asymmetry in the power balance at the moment. China is far ahead, but India is catching up. If we work together, if we collaborate, we cooperate, I think we can make a very big difference to peace, stability and security in this region and beyond. That is our effort. But as far as the issues are concerned, unfortunately there is no give on China's part. Accidental that Imran Khan was invited along with General Bajwa to visit Beijing at this juncture. I mean, there's a clear message there. And we have seen that whether it's on the issue of terror, whether it's on the issue of the boundary, we have had 22 rounds of special representative level talks. So we have serious difficulties.
Right.
And the solution is to keep at it, to keep trying, because it is not in the interest of either side to let these differences spiral out of control.
Oh, absolutely. Ambassador Neelam Dio, India and China have a huge responsibility. They owe it to their own countries and to the region and the world at large. And in that sense, the fact that these informal summits don't really take place on a daily basis, but we've seen world leaders resort to this kind of a mode of softening positions, and in the sense that arriving Prakash has been telling us.
Surely, I mean, this kind of meeting, and particularly keeping it informal, giving it a rich cultural context, this is surely helpful, and I think that's why both countries, China and India, have pursued this. But I think we have to also remember that there's a limit to how much the relationship can go forward unless there is some give and take on all sides. After all, we did not invent informal summits. These have been taking place among the Europeans for decades now. So I think we have to look at the issues.
Let me then ask you.
To look at attitudes. I mean,
Ambassador, let me ask you that sense.
Big issues.
Let me specifically ask you that.
Between the two countries.
You're talking about a give and take between India and China because that's the only way things can go forward. Is there a straightforward give and take that you think that India and China can perform at this stage so that there is a clear breakthrough in terms of the ties between the two countries?
So I would certainly say that on trade there's a lot of things that the Chinese can move on, particularly reducing their non-tariff barriers on pharmaceutical exports from India, agricultural exports, export of auto parts. So there's a lot of gestures that can be made, because even though the trade imbalance is supposed to have reduced a little bit, there's also a sense that it's some of what is actually imported from China is now being shown on the Hong Kong account. But Hong Kong is clearly a part of China, and I think that kind of finessing of an issue does not help. It does not help to build up the trust that the two countries need.
Mr. Vishnu Prakash, if I were to bring the same question to you, a very straightforward give and take that you think India can perform at this stage, because there needs to be headway. There needs to be the levels of uncertainty that the Mamallapuram summit has been surrounded with is immense, and that needs to go away.
Well, as I said, it takes two to tango, and both sides have to have the desire. I don't know, cannot peer into the Chinese mind, but I know from our side, we have been taking steps. We have been wanting to find a modus vivendi with China. It is for China to take a decision. Till 2008, China used to speak of the peaceful rise of China. Today, China speaks of its rightful place. As its economic power has grown, its military power has grown, its ambitions have grown. And today, the struggle is China's desire to have a Chinese-centric global order, regional order. And so that is the challenge. And how the other countries are co-opted is the big issue. And India is a large country. We would like to find a way in which both sides can work together. But again, it takes two to tango. And the boundary issue, from whatever I have seen, is a difficult issue. But even on comparatively easier issues like trade, we don't find much of a headway happening.
And the US-China trade war continues to affect the global markets and the world at the same time. Ambassador Neelam Deo, in that sense, with economics topping the agenda for every single country in the world at this point in time, do you think the Mamallapuram summit can provide at least trade solution, if not a Kashmir solution?
I don't know if, a summit can actually provide solutions. What it can do is to change the perspective a little bit. I think instructions flow down from the summit to the official levels, and maybe in negotiations at the RCEP or in discussions on the Huawei, whether we are going to have Huawei participate in the setting up of the 5G network in India. On all of these matters, it's important that at the top there is some effort to reduce differences rather than to exacerbate those by a hardening of positions.
Right.
We have had Chinese officials say things like, if India keeps Huawei out, it will affect the bilateral relationship. That kind of statement, that kind of assertion and aggressiveness is not helpful in bringing the two countries together.